Hey guys, welcome to the G and Danielle experience. It is currently the third day of my solo cruise on Royal Caribbean's Wonder of the Seas. So I wanted to bring you guys some fresh perspective and my thoughts on this cruise line. If you're new here, I am Jennifer Danielle, a solo traveling content creator, travel influencer, and travel agent. Now, the takes that I'm going to give you guys are coming from my perspective of being a solo traveler. So just keep that in mind when you hear some of the things that I'm going to say. And someone who usually gravitates towards Virgin Voyages because I love an all adults cruise. Now, you guys know Royal Caribbean is definitely a family cruise. So this is a completely different perspective for me. And honestly, I was not a huge fan of Royal Caribbean in my prior two sailings. So this is my third time sailing with them. The first cruise I went on was Freedom of the Seas. I've been on Icon of the Seas, and now Wonder of the Seas is my third one. Now, I will tell you guys, I have always heard good things about the Oasis class ships, which is what Wonder of the Seas is, as well as Utopia of the Seas. So I was really excited to get an opportunity to come on this ship and see what the rave was about. So I want to tell you guys some things that I think Royal Caribbean did really well and some things that missed the mark for me personally. It doesn't mean that the cruise line is bad. It's just for me coming from that solo perspective, I was not a fan of. So if you are new here, be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like, and let's get into this video. Welcome back. So as you guys can see, I am currently in my cabin, which is an interior room with a view of Central Park. So let's get into the first things that I think Royal Caribbean did well, because this is one of them. I love this cabin type. And to be honest, I feel like this is my second favorite cabin type next to having a balcony room. I have never sailed in a sea view or ocean view room before, where you could look out and just have a window looking at the ocean. Because honestly, I feel like if I'm going to see the ocean, I want to be able to go out on my balcony. So I really like this concept of being able to sit in my little window right there on that stool, look out and see Central Park. Central Park is beautiful, and it's probably, in my opinion, one of the best things that Royal Caribbean has done and created. It has real live plants, just tons of areas to sit, and in the morning it really feels like you're sitting in the park and having your cup of coffee. So I really love the concept of Central Park. I experienced that on Icon of the Seas as well as this ship, so I think they did really well with that. But these rooms, especially this interior room, seems to be so much larger than any room I've had on another cruise ship. These rooms are kind of like the old school rooms of what you would remember. I feel like cruise cabins are starting to get smaller. They don't have as much storage, but this one is big. It has the storage, and I am loving that view and being able to look out at Central Park. Now, my experience has been that it has not been very noisy from this room either. Now, I will say I am on the 9th floor and I am near Music Hall. So if you guys are familiar with it, they've been doing jazz sets there like every evening. So around 8 o'clock, you can hear a lot of music. It's not really bad or loud, and at least it's not like rock or anything. So it's jazz. So it's really kind of soothing, to be honest. But you can hear it and feel a little bit of the vibration is what I'm experiencing. Midnight, I can hear something. I don't know exactly what it is or where that noise is coming from. You can still hear something. But like I said, for me, it was not bad enough to really disturb me. So I really love this room. And that is the first thing I want to point out, that I feel like Royal Caribbean did really well. Now, there is no denying that Royal Caribbean has to be the top contender for entertainment and cruising. They are known for doing the Broadway style shows and of course the Aqua Theater and all of those specialty type shows. So I have been able to experience an ice skating show, musical shows, Broadway type shows from Icon of the Seas. I was able to go to the Wizard of Oz. Here, they've had more of kind of an interesting kind of mix. It was like an Avengers kind of alien type thing, but I really, really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the music. So Royal Caribbean does an amazing job of entertainment. So if you are someone, solo traveler or not, who is a big entertainment fan and you look forward to going to shows and having that whole experience, you are going to love these two ships for sure. So last night they had the first Aqua show I went to, and this was a show that was an entire woman cast. It was phenomenal. Like, just being able to see that and sit there and know that you're on a ship, it is amazing. So if you're someone who loves shows, this is going to be the cruise line for you. So this particular sailing I'm on is a 4-day sailing, and we have gone to Perfect Day at CocoCay, and we will be in Nassau tomorrow. Now, I always say I don't think there is a better destination or private island for a cruise line than Perfect Day at CocoCay. In my opinion, they have a really good mix of things that need to be an additional upcharge and things that are already included. So during my second experience when I was on Icon of the Seas, Hideaway Beach, which is the adults only area, had just opened, so I decided to pay to go there, and they had really good food, really good layout of everything. If Hideaway Beach is the right price, I highly recommend doing it. I did not do it for this particular cruise because of the cost of it. We'll talk about that in some of the things that I didn't like a little bit later in this video, but they have a really good mix of things that you can do for free versus paid. So there is a water park there that's an additional cost. There's a hot air balloon. I mean, just so many things going on. One of the things that I decided to do yesterday was kind of hang at the Oasis Lagoon, which is a swim up bar, and it was really crowded and nice, but I also ventured off a little further down the island to Chill Island, which did not have any loud music playing and was very relaxing, hence the name. So there was plenty of seating. There were 2 ships there. There was us as well as, I don't know what the other ship was. I can't remember. But it was another really large Royal Caribbean ship. So there were quite a few of us there, and it still was enough space for you to stretch out and not feel like you are just piled on top of people, even though I did not pay the additional charge. So I think they did a really good job there. The food, of course, is good. There are plenty of options. There's no limit on the amount of food that you can get from the shack as well as from the buffet there. And also your drink package works there. So these are all points that are really, really good for Perfect Day at CocoCay, and why I feel like they are the best destination, and Royal Caribbean did a great job with it. Okay, so let's talk about activities, because if you are someone who loves to go from activity to activity, you are going to love this cruise line, especially this ship. So I am someone who usually goes on vacation to relax. You guys know I cruise pretty often. So for me, it really doesn't have to be like thing after thing going on. I can find my own way and kind of, navigate my own cruise. But if you're someone who loves to go to like so many activities, and you're someone who looks forward to your vacation, say once a year, and you're like, I want to go to a comedy show, I want to do karaoke, I want to see live music, I want to see entertainment. That is what you have on this ship. At any given time, especially in the evening, there are like 4 main things going on. And so you can always find something to fit whatever it is that you are looking for. Last night, I hopped around and went to the club. I went to Sorrento's to get some pizza, so they have food open late at night. And what else did I do? Karaoke, and I went to a comedy show. So all these things happen within like a 2-hour span. So that's what I mean when I say there are so many things going on. Events are happening during the day, such as trivia is going on right now. There's a pool party going on that I have to finish this video so I can go to. But there's just endless amounts of things happening, and there's something for every person. So I told you guys that I am a solo traveler, of course, that prefers an adults only experience. But if you cannot get a whole adults only ship, the best next thing is to have a great adults only space. And this Wonder of the Seas Solarium is phenomenal. Now, I did go on Icon of the Seas and experience the Hideaway, which is their adults area. And although I really, really love the infinity pool that overlooked the side, it was like the most beautiful view, especially during sunset. I really didn't feel like they had a space there that was like kind of layout, relaxed, and they kind of gave you that traditional kind of adult only feel for a space. So the seating that was there, that are like the lounges outside, there was no covering, so it was really hot. It really wasn't comfortable, and it did feel kind of crowded and packed in. I'm sure that they did that by design, so that's going to be Icon as well as Star of the Seas. However, here on Wonder of the Seas, being that it is an Oasis ship, you have the Solarium area, and this is the adults only area that is going to have the Solarium Bistro. So you have an adults only buffet. So that's one of the things. I already don't like buffets, but if I'm going to go to one, I definitely don't want to have to like move around families and children, because it's so difficult, like trying to fix multiple plates and, just kind of waiting around, and, kids are jittery, they move. So it's really nice having that bistro there that is kind of buffet style, where you don't have to, wait in those lines and everything. But then the outside area where you have the pool, the whirlpool, which the pool isn't really big, but I found it sufficient, and I actually relaxed in it yesterday. But but the whirlpools there are gorgeous. You have some amazing views. You have so much seating there. And I love the fact that even though it is kind of that glass covering, it's really not as hot as you would think it would be. I thought the sun was going to be directly on me. And after I sat there a while, I got hot. But for the most part, like, you can still feel a cool chill. So it's like it's air conditioned. You have bars there and everything you need. So that's a place, especially as a solo traveler, that I am spending quite a bit of time. I can't wait to spend more time there tomorrow. But I feel like they did a really good job there. And I would have to say, when it comes to traditional cruises, so of course not comparing it to Virgin because the whole ship is adults only. But when it comes to like the Carnival ships I've done and all that, this is the best adults only space I have seen on the ship. So really, really like it, and kudos to them on that. Last but not least, for this ship to be so big, I feel like they did a really good job with the neighborhood concept / the layout of the ship. I have not felt it be like really crowded or a ton of people navigate to a space outside of going to the Aqua show last night. Like, I am just shocked at the flow of the ship, and the way that they have laid out these neighborhoods really keeps you from having to, feel like you're crowded and that everyone is congested in one place. There are spaces that it took me to like yesterday to find. And usually I try to walk the entire ship the first day, but there were some spaces that I had not seen until yesterday. And I was so shocked that when I got there was so many people there, because you would think that everyone would gravitate to one space, especially when there are shows going on and things like that. But like, the Royal Theater is on one end of the ship. The Aqua Theater is somewhere else at the end of the boardwalk. So the layout is really good, and you don't have to worry about feeling like the ship is super crowded. All right, so let's move on to the things that I have not liked about this ship. Now, I'm not going to say that these things need to be improved, because each cruise line is different. So me, as someone who really, really loves Virgin's experience, I would never say like Royal Caribbean needs to be more like them, because Royal Caribbean has their own unique thing. So let me just go ahead and say that first. But these are just the things that I personally did not like. So starting off, let's go with the add-ons. You guys, so many things are an additional charge when you get to the ship. If you want to do the flow rider during a certain time, there's an additional charge for that. Of course, the Wi-Fi is additional. The drinks, you have to get a full drink package, which was pretty expensive for even this 4-day sailing. So with that, I just feel like all of the little things that you would have to add on to have an experience similar to what I typically have on Virgin was a bit much, and it was a bit of a sticker shock for me, because honestly, I kind of forgot that some of these things weren't included. I didn't even think about needing to add Wi-Fi because I'm so used to it being included. So that's just one of the things to kind of be prepared for. Make sure you go in the app if you book a Royal Caribbean cruise, and you take a look at what's being offered so that you can have your intended experience, because the worst thing you can do is get on the ship and be surprised that you don't have it. So adding to that, another thing that I didn't like was that the price for all of the add-ons fluctuated so much leading up to the cruise. So I've told you guys before, if you purchase your add-ons before you get on the ship, they're typically a little bit cheaper. Sometimes you can find good deals doing like Black Friday for sales for like excursions or your Wi-Fi or anything you're adding on. However, with Royal Caribbean, there was nothing special going on during my sailing. Of course, I booked 30 days out, so I only looked at the price for like 30 days, and things continue to fluctuate. So like I was telling you guys, one of the reasons why I decided not to do the Hideaway, which is the adults only area out at Perfect Day at CocoCay, is because it was $102. Now, I watched it fluctuate somewhere between 80 to 102. So it was like one day I would look, it was this price. It was like 100 and something. The next day I would look, it would be like 80 something. And so I was like, maybe it's going to drop down a little bit more, because I'm thinking that they do dynamic pricing that's kind of based on demand. So, if more people are looking to book it, then they're going to raise the price. So, but the price never went below 80. And I just felt like that was a lot as an add-on for, that place, even though I've been before, because I wasn't planning to spend a lot of time off the ship yesterday. And I'm glad I didn't purchase it, because it was extremely hot. So I spent even less time than I thought I would there. But yeah, so So, you know, the price fluctuation when it comes to like the Wi-Fi and everything, if you purchase, the good thing is if you purchase your add-ons before you get on board, as long as you cancel them before you get on board and rebook them, you're fine. Now, you do have to make sure they're still available, but you can get the cheaper price. But the thing is having to constantly check to see, are you getting the right price? And that's just something I don't want to have to do. When I book something, like, just keep the price where it is. Don't make it go up and down where, you know, I pay $100 for something that I could have possibly gotten for $40 if I looked the right day. So that's one of the complaints I definitely have, and probably the biggest complaint I've had. So the next thing is, it kind of goes into the add-ons thing, is specialty dining. You guys, the food on Royal Caribbean, I remember when I used to be in the message boards, like in the beginning of my cruising journey, I used to always see people talk about how Royal Caribbean had such amazing food. Y'all, I don't see it. I do not see it. I said this on Icon and I will say it again. The included food just is not, it's edible. It's edible, but it's just nothing special. And so for me, when I think about someone who is going to cruise that's outside of me, because as someone who is a content creator and does this for business, I am constantly on ships. So, you know, this is not a situation where I have saved up my money for the year and I'm wanting to get the best of the best experience out of every cruise. I'm just trying to get on the cruise, record, have an experience, and learn as much as I can. But for someone who has saved their money for the year and, you know, they want to almost have like that birthday dinner experience, you know, for your birthday dinner, you want to go to a steakhouse and like dress up and have all the things. I think about the food that they offer here in like the main dining room, eating around the ship. It's not special. It's not great. Not flavor wise, not option wise. I definitely have not cared for the buffet at all here. I know if you're on maybe like Utopia or their newer ships, the first year they usually do like a seafood buffet. Of course, this ship has been out a little while, so that's not the case for this ship. We have just a standard buffet. And like I said, the food is edible. Like, you're going to get hamburgers, hot dogs. You know, they're going to have like an Asian night or have, you know, different themes. But it just is nothing that is just exciting about the food here. I kind of made the joke because I've been trying to work out and stuff ahead of my next Friendsgiving cruise. And I was like, well, the diet is going to be protected on this trip because this definitely isn't a situation where I'm coming and I'm like eating stuff that I'm really excited about. Now, I have added a couple specialty dining options, which I told you guys additional cost. So I have booked those and those have been really, really good, but the regular food is included. The breakfast I had in the main dining room this morning was probably the worst breakfast I've ever had, like, period. It was fried chicken and waffles. Watch the vlog. You'll hear me talk about why. But it was the worst I've had ever. And I didn't think anybody could mess up breakfast. The next thing is like the ground beef at the El Loco Taco or whatever the taco place is. It just does not taste great. The steak is good. The chicken is decent, but the ground beef, like, I didn't even know ground beef could be messed up, but I just have really not enjoyed the standard food. So, that's consistent from Icon to here. So maybe that's just my taste buds with Royal Caribbean, but Okay, my next complaint is just kind of a personal thing. And of course, like I told you guys, it's doing adult cruises. It's just the children, you know, they are running around. They are pushing all the buttons in the elevators. You know, I thought that was kind of a joke about the kids pushing the buttons in the elevators. And I get it. They're kids, you know, that's just what kids are going to do. But I've experienced it multiple times and it's been a little frustrating because these elevators have been packed. Like, if anything has been packed, it's been the elevators. And I will say this ship has the standard elevator where you just press it on the outside and once you get in, you press where you want to go. But on Icon of the Seas, they have the destination elevators, which I guess would take care of that problem because you have to press where you want to go before you get on from the outside. So the children have been here. They have been running around. I really was kind of surprised being that this is, you know, September. It's not fall break or anything. So I don't know why so many children here and running around. But of course, this is a family cruise line. If anything, I'm the one that doesn't belong here. So, you know, I don't have a complaint for Royal Caribbean about that. But I will just, you know, kind of give you this disclaimer and let you know, just expect to have that experience if you come on here. All right, guys, so we have reached my last thing I have to say about the experience and the last kind of complaint I have. And that is that I am an old person and the main party starts so late. I just don't know why. Why do we have to start the party so late? So last night was the red party, which is kind of like the big club party that I remember doing on Freedom of the Seas that I really enjoyed and think they did a really good job with. But y'all, the party did not start till midnight. Like, do y'all know, like, I made it. I went to the party, but I was there maybe like 10 minutes because it was just entirely too late and I was exhausted. The other party that we're having is like I think it's the silent party tonight, or no, it's the quest game is tonight. And that doesn't start until 11:15. I'm like, why do we have to have these events so late? Probably because they're, reusing the venues and everything. And like I said, there's so many events and shows, but like there is no early party for people like me who are old and need to get sleep. So, I know that there's something that's not going to change. I'm going to have to take more naps, but it is a complaint that I have. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed hearing my thoughts on Royal Caribbean as a solo traveler and as someone who is trying to figure out how I feel about this cruise line. Overall, this has been a great cruise. I would absolutely do Wonder of the Seas again. Honestly, I think that I would do this ship or this class of ship before I would do an Icon class ship again. So I enjoyed it enough to say I would come back and do it. The Solarium really kind of sold everything for me. That was kind of the main deciding factor for me. So yeah, but I hope you guys enjoy hearing my opinions on everything. Of course, check out the vlog. I'm not sure if it's coming out before this or after this video, but check it out once it comes out, and be sure to let me know what your comments are and what you thought about Royal Caribbean if you have sailed them. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.